Hi everyone, thank you so much for tuning into my tarot channel. My name is Paulina and I have an intuitive channeled message for you today. So I was picking up a lot of different energies today. This sounds silly, but I'm picking up that a lot of people need to get more greens in their diet. I am a vegan, so it's mostly what my diet is made up of, but also that there are days, if you're a juicer, you gotta keep in mind that you want to take a day off here and there, maybe a couple days, because juicing, especially wheatgrass or just like any sort of like dense, rich, leafy green, rich, nutrient dense, nutrient rich leafy green will cause toxins in your blood to come up. And of course, that's meant for them to be released, but also you don't want sort of too much of that at once. You want to give your body time to process. So I guess I'm saying maybe there's a balance here that needs to happen. I think that your cells in your body are like expanding or like changing how they function because your nervous system is changing. You may have like begun healing some sort of long-term issue. And I also feel like there's a lot of stuff. I'm gonna do cards, but it's not gonna be a super card heavy reading. I feel like there's gonna be a lot of stuff that comes up because you're expanding in a way beyond the people in your life have known you. And I think that a lot of people are gonna be very challenged by this new self that you've always sort of known within is who you are, but other people maybe didn't see that way, or I'm not sure. I'm feeling that there's some ambiguity in the dynamic about how you see yourself and how others see you, and a self-assertion. I think that there's been some choices lately and also some confusion about what choices you do have in your life. I'm sensing there's also been some sort of like disdain for something that once seemed like it was a good thing for you. Like maybe you worked really hard towards something and then it didn't pan out how you wanted, but I think that you're still like open to seeing that it could be a long-term thing. I'm sensing a big pattern in the viewer of seeking justice with people who some of them definitely do deserve to be held accountable for what they've done. But also with that, sort of like the leafy greens, you want to like have a balance of what days you're detoxing and what days you're not, because you don't want too many toxins in your bloodstream at once. You don't want too much intensity about something that is negative. You don't want to even spend that much time thinking about it because it brings your body to a negative place. And I'm not saying put your head in the sand and pretend it doesn't exist. I'm saying put that intense energy towards something positive. Because there's times when it is right to seek justice, like say someone's harassing us, or maybe there's like sexual harassment or like sexual assault or something horrific like that happening. If you have a way to stand up for yourself in that moment, definitely do it. Some people go into fight or flight. But also those experiences that I'm picking up, the viewer may have experienced some sort of victimhood. It could also just be like physical or domestic violence, or like psychological abuse. It's been coming through. I feel like you have an inner self that's you have control of your emotions. I think also that there's been these people that are seeing you in a new light beyond how they've seen you before, are afraid of your healing energy and maybe of your healing. And I think that there's a lot of, maybe you're the kind of person who, you know, I've pulled this card 3 times in a row, so I'm going to just stick with this card. Maybe you're the kind of person who has some sort of visible or issue, or like clear issue, but also you stand out, and a lot of others have, instead of celebrating that, attacked that. But I think this is the time in your life where you're really coming into ownership of your psychic abilities in a more masculine way than you have before. I'm also sensing maybe a masculine figure that is guiding you, maybe from a past life, or like someone who's passed on, like an elder. You might want to look where your Saturn is, because that will tell you the nature of your elders, like the people that maybe your grandparents or even parents. For example, if you have Saturn in Gemini, you might have like grandparents that were very chatty and around you all the time, and liked short trips, or liked writing, or things like that, or had a youthful essence. Just an example. I'm picking up that somebody here who's watching is feeling very afraid in their life of old things repeating. And I want to tell you that your guides are telling me, don't be afraid of that happening, because you're not the same. Just like you're moving into a new energetic space and these people from your life are not recognizing you, like maybe literally don't recognize what you look like or sound like or act like, because I think that you're turning away from all conflict, but also speaking up for some unspoken voice within at the same time. Kind of like the green juice analogy. Maybe on some days you're, I'm going to tell you my life philosophy. Okay. I was going to say, maybe on some days you're standing up against situations where people really cross your boundaries in polite, real ways, but you're being assertive. I can see that. You're not being like a mirror of how they're acting, but you're being more assertive in your life. But I'm also seeing that some days that you may slip into avoidance of being seen, because you know you're a target in some ways. I'm not sure who this is that's targeting you. It could be several people. I think you felt targeted in your life, maybe by your family. Maybe you had like an abusive relationship where you felt targeted. But yeah, you're not the same as you were. You wouldn't deal with any of these situations in the same way, because I'm seeing you. Oh, I was going to tell you my life philosophy, so I can't say the word. It's sort of a bad word for women's parts, but it's meant in ownership of those parts, and I like to live my life with that part forward. You can also think of it as just heart forward, but for me, women's reproductive parts are so sensitive, and not just on a personal level, like, or not just on like a physical level, but for people who are like assault survivors, or like even just hearing about like sort of practices in other countries where mutilation of women's bodies are an accepted practice in the culture. You may think that I'm not understanding that that's their culture, but I just don't agree. That's not my cup of tea. I think it's a very patriarchal way to decide for women to if women can experience pleasure or not. Anyway, I like to say live my life with that body part forward. I can't say the word here, but also just heart forward. And the reason, again, I mentioned the sensitive women's body part is because I want to live with my vulnerabilities out. You know, when I lived in Boston and New York, different times in my life, I also lived in New Haven, all different cities. I never had like, probably stupid of me, but I never had like mace or like pepper spray because I didn't want to attract experiences where I had to use them, and nothing ever happened to me. I never had any negative experience with anyone because I believe I have a special guardian angel that I connect with every day, and also because I envision a bubble around myself. Okay, maybe this is what the reading really is about here, that I'm sensing that as your energy increases, you're going to be attracting more people who are unhealed, and you're going to have to learn how to deal with that. And you're not the same as you were. You're not going to tolerate abuse, but you're also smart, and you're not going to be pulled into some negative energy that you don't want to get into. I think that living with your vulnerabilities forward and your heart forward, it doesn't mean that it is sort of like a yin yang symbol, which keeps coming up in my readings. You don't want to, it's like a dance. You don't want to let people walk all over you, but you want to lead with that sensitivity. What is it? Teddy Roosevelt, walk strongly, speak softly, and carry a strong stick. I love that. I think that's actually the motto for my decan of Scorpio, which is the Pisces decan. If you don't know, each month is broken up into chunks, and each chunk relates to a different sign in the water sign or air signs or whatever sign you are. But leading with sensitivity, is the way to go. And I'm not saying to duck conflict. And sometimes, there's reactive abuse where people really push us, and we do have, some of us have nervous systems that can't handle being pushed. Maybe you have to listen to the HALT thing. Am I hungry, angry, lonely, or tired? Because if you are, then you need to listen to that, and you're not able to sort of funnel energy properly if that's what's happening. I've been thinking a lot about the John Donne quote, "No man is an island." And that's coming up here in this reading as we close, that even though you feel in your life like, I think this sensitivity makes you feel isolated in your life, that you can sort of feel toxicity, and maybe you've had to turn the other cheek a lot because you don't like that. You don't want to, it feels so toxic to your system. It's really, you're at a weird place where you're like learning that you can use the throat chakra and also your solar plexus to like stand up for yourself, but you don't have to be in the energy of these other people, which I don't think you really ever have been. I'm seeing someone who's very averse to conflict, but also sees that I think you're seeing that conflict can be a catalyst for growth. Other people's stuff being put on us, how we deal with it, can be a way for us to grow and to find our own self-esteem. Seeing the image of someone being led by a dog. I don't know if you have an animal, but a dog is a symbol of loyalty. I think you need to be loyal to yourself, because I think that your guides are telling me there's a lot of projects and a lot of things that you've put off because you felt overwhelmed emotionally, because you've let other people sort of steer the ship with maybe intimidating you or putting fear in your life, or maybe making really disruptive moves that really did change your life. But I don't want you to put the blame on them, okay? Because I'm seeing you kind of rolling with the punches also. You may have some interesting Aquarius stuff that makes you chill with change. You know, might want to look in your chart, but or that makes you feel detached when change is happening and sort of roll with the punches, because I'm seeing you becoming this more understanding figure, not just of others and their inept qualities, but also of yourself, and how you may be someone who really is incredibly sensitive, and that toxicity just feels bad to you, and that you're not only learning to shield yourself, but you're learning that you can also expose yourself with power. You can have power in being in the world. You don't have to be scared. And I was gonna say, I like to envision a big bubble around myself when I'm in public, usually. Like a really, sometimes if I'm stressed, then I'll go home and the bubble will become bigger and bigger, and then you can envision it, how it looks like, what it looks like, what color. Mine is like pink, and it's really big, and it's like really soft and mushy, and like nobody can get inside unless I want them to, and it protects me from anyone else's negative energy. And I imagine it swirling around me whenever I'm in a place that feels negative or whatever. And then also you can go home and imagine this bubble expanding and getting bigger and bigger, and going beyond your place that you live, beyond this world, beyond the galaxy, beyond the universe, and expanding love from your heart space into the entire cosmos. So thanks for tuning in.